A complete change of surroundings for seconds out this week. We're in the old Fenland capital of Wisbech in Cambridgeshire, and there's a packed house here at the Hudson Sports Centre. Good evening. Now, as many of you will already know, Lloyd Hibbert, who was due to defend his British and Commonwealth light middleweight title, has announced his sudden retirement from boxing. But notwithstanding that, we've a bill full of interest, and it's headed by the most explosive young man in British boxing today. His name is Nigel Benn. He's from West Ham, and he should feel at home here in the Fens because he likes everything nice and flat.
Yo has never seen him. Doesn't know anything about his reputation, but in the first 25 seconds or so, the 31-year-old American has found out. Bye-bye. But up. Bravely. He's come back for more. Not much longer.
And what about this chap, big bad James Oyabola, who at 6 feet 9 inches above sea level is something of a landmark around here. Tonight he faces American opposition. And I wonder if you recognise our guest this week, a comeback for one of Britain's boxing legends, the Fenland Tiger himself, Dave Boy Green. Well, we'll be talking to Dave a little later on and asking him to draw the winners of our Alan Minter competition and the prizes, in case you've forgotten, these two boxing annuals just in time for Christmas. Right, enough talking. Let's get on with the action now, and the main event of the evening. It features Nigel Benn, the Dark Destroyer from London, in what could be his toughest assignment so far. He takes on Ian Chantler from St Helens. Now, the 27-year-old has been around a bit, 41 fights, and he's just in credit, 22 wins and 19 defeats. As for Benn, well, he's won all 10 of his fights, 7 of them with thunderous first-round knockouts. Your commentators, as usual, Jim Rosenthal, assisted by Terry Marsh.
What a bonus for the crowd here in Wisbech to see, for my money, the most exciting prospect in British boxing at the moment. Nigel Benn in the golden trunks, and that is one punch, and Ian Chantler is down. He's very close to us, and he will not get up from that. To get the sentence out. Chantler, it has to be said, has never been knocked down in his career before. It has to be said as well, he's campaigned more often as a light middleweight and a welterweight. And it also has to be said that Nigel Benn, who has now won 11 out of 11, is a fearsome prospect. One punch settled it. That's his 8th victory in the first round. He will fight again next week on Frank Warren's bill at the Royal Albert Hall. Let's just have a look at this, and in fact we'll have to get the time as well and get a comment when we see it for the first time from Terry Marsh. For my money, it was the first punch of the fight from Benn. Bang on the button, and you've got to say he punches hard and he punches accurately, and poor Ian Chantler was down and was never going to get up from that.
No, it's a perfectly delivered punch. He's looked for the shot. He's waited for the opening. He's bided his time. As soon as he's seen it, he's ducked down, missed one punch, then come with the right hand. Over the top it comes now, and the guy just never had no answer to it. OK, it was early on in the fight, but if he hit anybody with that punch, they would have probably gone on the floor.
Nigel, even by your standards, that was fairly rapid, 16 seconds.
Yeah, well, you know, he came out, he was giving me the eye and all that. I don't like people giving me the eye, you know, and it really bugs me.
He obviously hadn't heard about you.
No, he didn't.
He won't remember too much about that either. And you're fighting again in, what, 8 or 9 days?
9 days' time at Royal Albert Hall. I don't know who my opponent is, but I'm ready for him.
Now, nobody's knocked him out before, I gather.
Well, I don't know. I don't know nothing about him.
Well, that's a fact, so that was some punch.
Well, you know, it's like I said last time, the way we train, it always pays off in the end. You know, now I think we want to start thinking about eliminating for the British title, because I feel ready and I'm mean.
All right, well, let's move on to that very point. I did discuss with you last time about the quality of opponents. Where does Nigel go from here?
Tony, you saw what happened with that contest. I mean, you just said that the boy's never been knocked out before. That punch is liable to knock anybody out. I mean, what can you do with a kid that punches like this? Anybody hits like that is going to go over.
So where does he go? I mean, who's going to get in the ring with him next?
Well, we're fetching Americans in. We'll take him along gradually and bring him along as we've planned. and as soon as we're ready, we're taking forward for British European titles.
You can understand, Frank, I guess, people's slight scepticism. I mean, they can see him knocking everybody out, but they're asking themselves, well, what sort of people are you putting in there with him?
Well, you know, this chap who just fought in his last 8 fights, he's won 7 of them. He had a good win on the continent. His weight, I mean, there's only £3 difference in the weight. Obviously, Nigel's been in training. Ian had been training for a fight. It was a short notice fight, but having said all of that, whoever he hits, I don't think there's anybody who's going to stand up that will take the punch. Now, Nigel, I think, is the most lethal, hardest punching fighter I've seen.
Is there any truth in the thought that he's perhaps his own worst enemy in that respect, that nobody wants to fight him?
No, because it's like Mike Tyson. Everybody Mike Tyson knocks over. He's a mini Mike Tyson. Everybody Mike Tyson was fighting in the early days and was knocking over. They were bums. As soon as somebody went the distance with Mike Tyson, he wasn't much of a fighter. But we all know Mike Tyson is a good fighter, and it's the same thing with Nigel Benn. He's a good fighter. As soon as the bell goes, he goes about his business. He don't go and feel them out and look at them. Every punch he throws, he's trying to take you out. And Chantler is not a bad fighter. I spoke to John Morris at the Boxing Board of Control today when we made the match, and he said this fella would give him a test. I don't think there's anybody around to give him a test.
All right, well, Nigel, actually, if we can find the monitor, we can show you the shortest fight in your career. Here it comes, look. You say he'd been eyeing you?
Well, he was eyeing me. I knew Brian said he's got a long jab, so I thought I'd work underneath it and come over the top, boom, right hand. There it is.
Not much argument about that. Congratulations again,
Nigel. Thank you very much.
We look forward to seeing you in action again. Maybe it'll last a bit longer next time. Who knows?
I hope so.
Thank you
very much.